How long do you think Seattle in those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
We came down to Jenny Durkin's mansion to bring the demands of the movement and of the families who have been impacted by police violence to her doorstep, as she seems to not be able to hear our demands any other way.
It's time for people to go home.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you an update on Chaz Chop. You know that 6 block area in Seattle, Washington, that had been taken over by the Antifa types, the Black Lives Matter types, a bunch of crackheads, dope things in general. Well, that area has been cleared out by the Seattle police in conjunction with neighboring Bellevue police. They took it over in less than an hour. We're talking about a half hour, 45 minutes. They came in there strong and knocked it right on out. The barriers are gone. All of the little cardboard and all the trash and all that's gone. It's over with. It's a wrap. Now, that area is off limits for the foreseeable future by order of the mayor. I showed you a little clip at the very beginning of what the mayor had been going through. Remember the very first thing she said when this whole situation started about 3 weeks ago? Oh, it's no big deal. It's a summer of love. It's a block party, all this, that, and the third. All of that changed when the so-called protesters, really rioters, insurrectionists came to her house. That was on Sunday night. Not even 2 full days ago, not even the full 48 hours ago, okay? Late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, there was an order right at the desk of the police, and it was over with. Now, the order might have come actually that night. As soon as it came to her house, really on Sunday, she could have said, okay, it's a wrap, shut it down because they can't be coming here and endangering me. All right. And then they devised a plan, and about 4:48 in the morning, Tuesday morning, they executed the plan and Chop is over with. Okay. And like I said, the whole area is off limits to the public. Now, that's really interesting how this whole thing works. It wasn't really a problem to the mayor, Jenny Durkin, when you had the two, not one, but 2 dead black teenagers found in Chop, the multiple shootings, the rapes, the robberies, the general harassment of people that live right there, the closing of the businesses, all the garbage on the ground, the human waste, the drugs, the heroin, like I said before, crack, heroin, opiates, pills, Chop, crack, heroin, amphetamine zone. None of that was really a problem for 3 weeks of occupation, and not to mention the police precinct that was boarded up and abandoned. None of that was enough. But as soon as it comes to your house, Miss Durkin, then it becomes a problem. How convenient is that? How convenient is that? See, this is what I'm talking about. A lot of these crazy leftists, they don't really care about you as an individual or about the constituents. They care about themselves. Okay, if it makes them being in the weird situation, then all of a sudden they want to do something. But beyond that, they don't want to do anything. And that is all that had to happen. All she had to do was just say, all right, let's put it into it. And then it was over. I am glad that it's over with because that was a really crazy thing to have in America. Just a zone has been taken over and it wasn't getting any better. And to have that persist in Seattle was not just bad for Seattle, which it obviously was. It was also bad for the entire country because now you're having these little pop-up Chaz Chop things all over the nation, or they're trying to pop up. Sometimes they're successful, other times they're not. They tried that in Nashville, North Carolina. That didn't work out too well. They tried it in Portland, Oregon, of all places, and it got smashed immediately by the police. But in New York City right now, it's kind of allowed to persist to a certain extent. Same thing in Washington, D.C. to a certain extent. It's kind of allowed to persist. This right here is no more than bad leadership or good leadership. Bad leadership is Seattle, where you allow this whole zone to persist for weeks and weeks. People getting shot, killed, raped, and everything else. That's bad leadership. Good leadership is when you immediately smash it as soon as it starts to pop up. You see little barricades on the ground that you didn't put there if you're the police. You get them up out the way, arrest everybody, and have that be that. Bad leadership is allowing it to persist in Washington, D.C., and then basically giving them the red carpet, painting Black Lives Matter on the ground. You're giving them the red carpet. You're giving them basically the blueprint of where to put a little encampment at right there by or on top of the Black Lives Matter sign. That's where this whole Chaz Chop thing was at. I'm not sure if it was the city that painted that on the ground or if it was the choppers themselves, as I like to call them right now. I'm not sure who did that, but that was right there. This whole term, quote unquote, Black Lives Matter, is just kind of a battle cry, like Allah Akbar. You know, that's pretty much what's going on. You punch somebody in the head, shooting their car, whatever you want to do, blocking the interstate, hurting people in general. Oh, Black Lives Matter. I'm not racist. I'm not wrong. Don't arrest me. That is what they think that it is. But people are getting arrested. Going back to Seattle right quick, you had 23 arrests when they cleared out the place. But when they came through, the police, that is, from Seattle and Bellevue, there was little to no resistance. What are you really going to do? Okay, they're heavily armored. They got guns. They got equipment. They got the mace, whatever. What are you really going to do against that? If you want to try to fight back, okay, then let's go ahead and go to jail. How about that? How about that? And they seized plenty of weapons. If you're wondering about that, they seized plenty of weapons, guns, big knives, kitchen knives, baseball bats, all kind of things. And now Chop is done. And if you don't really believe me, I play some aerial footage on the screen before you. You can see where the barricades have been brought down, where all the little signage has been put into a truck. That's pretty much a wrap for that whole thing. Now, what does it mean going forward for Seattle? I'm not really sure. Hopefully they get that police precinct back up and running, because a big problem with the occupying force that was there, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, everybody else, is that you had no police right there. So the call response time was dramatically increased from just like maybe 3 to 5 minutes to upwards of 15 minutes. That's a very long time for you to be calling the police and wait for them to come. And it might not even arrive at all, because once you get to a very high call volume, you got to try to prioritize things. Okay, what's more quote unquote important? If you get your business broke into, well, no big deal, whatever. But if you got a kid over here that got shot and killed, or he might die, he's not dead yet, and you're trying to save him, that might take precedent. And if you got a whole lot of those shootings and those are taking precedent, you might not get seen at all. Meanwhile, your whole livelihood is going up in smoke. How would you feel about that if you lived in the city, if you're paying taxes, if you're contributing to these leaders, if you voted for these leaders? How would you feel about that? Now, to get back to the mayor right quick, this is all just about her. If the so-called protesters didn't come to her house, this whole thing could still be going on right now in Chop. It could still be operating. And one of the people that led the so-called protest to the mayor's house is Kshama Sawant, extremely radical city council member. All right. Now, of course, Jenny Durkan wants to get Kshama Sawant out of there. I wonder why. Oh, is it because she led the so-called protest to her house? Maybe that's the reason why. If it's about just allowing general chaos to persist, Jenny Durkan should resign herself, and so should the governor, Jay Inslee, because they are the main ones that are behind it. They're the tip of the spear, so to speak. Kshama Sawant is radical, as is the majority of the city council. And the mayor is radical as well, talking about Summer of Love. Summer of Love, what kind of Summer of Love involves rape and robbery and kidnapping and murder and everything else? I mean, how does it make any sense at all? I'm glad this whole thing is done, and I hope that there are no more of these little things that pop up. And if or when they do pop up, they need to get smashed immediately. Do not let them set up some kind of little camp. Do not let them use drugs here. Do not let them just have free reign to roam. Smash it right away. Because when you don't smash it, you're going to have all kind of problems that persist. I saw a fight up in New York in one of these little quote unquote zones they're trying to form. It was this guy biting somebody in the head. It was like, man, all right, this is just getting ridiculous. This is getting too much. I'm not trying to see anybody get a tetanus shot because they didn't caught rabies from some nut job high on meth, biting them all on their neck. I don't want to see that. I want to see law and order. All right. You should not have to rely on Trump to send the U.S. military to protect the statue or to prevent some mailboxes from being thrown on the ground to make some kind of makeshift fort. Okay, that shouldn't be going on. The police And every city have the ability to go in there and smash it ASAP. They got the money, they got the equipment, they got the training, they got the know-how, they got all of that. All they got to do is get the green light from the mayor, from the governor, whoever's in charge. Then they can go in there and do it. We see that did happen in Seattle, Washington. Okay, Bellevue Police, Seattle Police, they joined forces, created Voltron, went in there, smashed it 30 minutes, and it was a wrap. Okay, you got a city trucks right there, throw away all the garbage. If you don't want to get out the way and you want to be in the mix, guess what? You're going to the penitentiary. How about that? But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Chaz Chop finally being dismantled? Did it take way too long? Of course it did, but was it right on time? What was the final straw broke the camel's back? Was it the second shooting and killing of a young black man, a 16-year-old boy? Was it that? Was it the constant robberies, the rapes, the intimidation of people that have to live right in that particular zone, the business owners not being able to do work because they got to board up, because people come in there and steal all day and they're not letting regular normies come through, the foot traffic and all of that? I mean, what was the actual final straw? I think we all know it's kind of a rhetorical question. Obviously, the mayor, Jenny Durkan, getting a so-called visit from protesters. That's what did it. If not for that, then we probably would still have Chop. Now, the so-called protesters are saying, oh, our voice isn't heard, our demands aren't being met. Well, guess what? Your demands most certainly will not be met right now. If you have demands, if you have things that you want, more gimmies from the government, if that's what you want, then go vote for that. But don't be surprised when people abandon your city and you be looking like Detroit, Michigan, okay? Do not be surprised if that happens. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.